So I think economics opens up a lot of doors, a lot of job opportunities, where you can have a good living, where you can build a long-term career, where you can get promoted up the ranks. India is blessed with like amazing educational institutions in economics. They have a very long lineage of producing amazing alumni who've gone on to contribute tremendously to the world and to India. I think with multilaterals, the first thing I would say is like have a more policy oriented approach rather than like an academic or theoretical approach. So try to write research papers or try to be an RA for like professors and try to get some work published, but have a very policy oriented angle towards it.
Expertise in economics can solve problems across every industry, be it healthcare to aviation to retail. A master's degree in economics can allow you to pursue challenging roles across different industries, even public policy. But how can you research and strategize for that? And is it realistic to aim for multilateral institutions? I'm your host Anushka, and in this episode, we'll talk about a career in economics and public policy. And we have with us Vatsal.
Welcome to the show, Vatsal.
Thanks a lot for having me, guys. I'm looking forward to the conversation and yeah, really excited about it.
Just right off the back, Vatsal, the very first question I have for you is that why even consider a career in economics or public policy?
So there are, two ways to look at it. I think the first is in any job or any career path, we strive to look for two things. The first is personal growth, and the second is materialistic growth, right? Um, on the materialistic side to start off with, right? Because you have to be very practical about careers, I think, rather than so I think economics gives opens up a lot of doors, a lot of job opportunities, where you can have a good living, where you can build a long-term career, where you can get promoted up the ranks. And when I did my bachelor's in economics from Shriram College of Commerce, uh, we had a lot of consulting companies, investment banking companies, equity research firms, and stuff come in. So economics, the skill set is highly valued because it is also technical and it exposes you to a multitude of thoughts and a multitude of perspectives of looking at the world and making sense of the world. Secondly, from the personal growth side, right? I think whatever is happening around us, right? Whether it's with uh, globally with politics or how a country is progressing or how to understand an industry or how to even understand like household level dynamics, a lot of that can be explained by economics. And that's why you'll realize that economics is one of those rare fields where it has so many subfields within it that are extremely deep and it's very rich. So there's labor economics, there's monetary economics, there's fiscal economics, there's gender economics, there is financial economics. Like that, there's just all types of things out there. There's neuroscience, there's neuroeconomics. So what I'm trying to say is that it's a great way to understand not just the world and make sense of it, but also go for careers where you can materialistically have a good life and stuff. Yeah.
Mhm. So you mentioned that even within economics, there are many, many subgroups. But then, can you point out a couple of skills that somebody would need to, make it in economics or public policy if, there are a couple of skills that are really common to make it in this career?
Yeah. Again, so over here, I would say there are like, you know, there are two types of skills. And actually, one of them is more a mindset rather than a skill. So to address like the first part, which is like what skills do you need? So you need good quantitative skills. So like good in algebra, calculus, differential equations, real analysis, regressions, because regressions and modeling the relationship between two or more variables is extremely important in economics. Um, a lot of the theory around how an economy evolves or how an economy behaves is based out of mathematics, and there's a lot of graphical sort of understanding and a lot of graphical modeling and uh, uh, equations where you basically understand, like supposing a demand and supply curve. So looking
Mhm.
at graphs is a lot of is very key. Even a lot of skills that are coming up in the data science sort of environment, right? So, Stata, R, Python, Power BI, Tableau, Hadoop, or uh, a lot of these programming languages, Julia, for example, like they are also extremely relevant and will make you a great economist and will help you outcompete others, even machine learning to some extent, right? Like it's really coming up in economics a lot. So machine learning is great too. But the second type of skill, which I think is more a mindset sort of thing, is you have to be very curious as a person because economics is sort of going on all the time everywhere. So there's a lot of inferences you can draw by just being observational and curious. And secondly, you should be a multidimensional thinker. So, economics is very, very intricately tied to finance, to politics, to anthropology, to sociology, to law, to constitutional law, like all of these sorts of things, right? So that's why, yeah, I would say there's good quant and sort of software skills to have, and there's also the more mindset related skills that are very important. Yeah.
Would you want to discuss a bit about the econ programs that are out there? People can th search about these programs and maybe they're able to decide better what to go for.
Sure, sure. So India is blessed with like amazing institutions, like amazing educational institutions in economics. So uh, not just at the undergrad level, right? Like you have Delhi University, you have St. Xavier's College, Calcutta, Mumbai, you have um, uh, lot of institutions in the south as well, Madras Christian College and Madras School of Economics. And then for masters, like you have Delhi School of Economics, Indian Statistical Institute, IGIDR, Gokhale Institute of Politics and Economics. Like these are like amazing institutions, and they have a very long lineage of producing amazing alumni who've, gone on to contribute tremendously to the world and to India. So these are like Indian institutes you can go after, and I have a lot of friends and batchmates from my undergrad who went to these institutions and who are doing amazing for themselves, like career-wise, and they're very happy and stuff, right? So sorry, that's the Indian institutes. Abroad, you have there's sort of European institutions, and there's the whole US US sort of establishment, so to say. So with economics, a lot of the thought leadership and a lot of the best journals are actually based out of the US, and a lot of them are based out of the East Coast, right? So MIT, Harvard, Yale, of course, like these are the bread and butter places, and then uh, UCLA, UC Berkeley, Stanford, Boston University. So like all of these have like the US ones, a lot of them don't have master's programs. So it's typically that, up undergrad, you do your undergrad and then you basically enroll for their PhD programs. But some universities like Yale, UCLA, Johns Hopkins do have master's programs. Boston University has a master's program. So that's the US. And then in Europe, you have London School of Economics, Oxford, Cambridge. You have uh, Barcelona School of Economics, Pomfrey. I'm not remembering the exact name now, but I have a friend who went there.
Mhm.
Um, you have Sciences Po, you have tons of schools, that have great University of Essex is very good. So you have like a lot of these places as well that people can go to.
I think, as you mentioned, that there are a lot of options in India, in Europe, in the US, and then for studying also. So that's really good. I mean, for anybody coming from any kind of background, there are a lot of options to choose from. So it's not like there aren't many options to choose from. Now, the next question I
Yeah.
have is, I think the most interesting question I have so far for this episode, which is how to crack multilateral institutions. So do you have any kind of advice or something you did for people out there who are interested in cracking multilateral?
Yeah, so I so I think with multilaterals, like the first thing I would say is like have a more policy oriented approach rather than like an academic or theoretical approach. So this would be more relevant for like say people who are in their bachelor's or master's currently, right? So try to write research papers or try to be an RA for like professors and try to get some work published, but have a very policy oriented angle towards it.
So I think, networking is a great way where you can basically reach out to people and, you can talk about your research, send them a code sample, send them a writing sample. But having published something is always great, and having great Python and R and Stata skills also goes a very long way into cracking these institutions. And then, of course, like read research papers or read analytical products from the bank or the fund that interest you, because they're both the bank and fund are doing like they're covering a very wide scope in terms of their work. So you have to narrow down and um, see what you like and what interests you. Yeah.
So I think so. You mentioned the networking. What it reminds me of is LinkedIn. So does it do any good to people to create some kind of personal brand on their LinkedIn, or maybe just talk about the areas that there are interest for them when it comes to having a career, just kind of connecting it to having a career in economics or public policy.
Yeah, so I am actually a big believer in, putting your knowledge out there and like transmitting it to other people. So I make it a point also, to write about anything that I think like I have even like 10% of knowledge of, to, basically impart it to people. So I think LinkedIn, yes, is a great way to, you know, enable like thought leadership. I think more than personal branding, like personal branding of course
Hmm.
is the essence of like is the broader topic, but I think for something like economics, like thought leadership is something that you should really strive for. And over here it's supposing you have a point of view or an opinion, or you have a perspective on an issue in economics that you care about, write about it, but write about it consistently, and have like good arguments, good facts to back your assertions and your point of view. And don't feel too shy, or don't feel afraid, or don't think what will other people think if I write this. Just put it out there, because trust me, like your content is going to help. Even if it helps one person, it's totally worth it. So I really sort of post on LinkedIn on steroids, so to say, right? Like I really put myself out there. I post a lot, I post very frequently, I post a lot of passion. So it's something that I really care about, and I whoever I talk to, even like my office colleagues here at the fund, or even like at the bank, I tell them that you should post on LinkedIn a lot. And on Twitter, like there's this whole hashtag Econ Twitter thing, where a lot of economists actually post on Twitter, but they're not posting on LinkedIn. But LinkedIn is where like all the corporate and serious people, and all the people on LinkedIn are there for a more serious and credible reason. Whereas on Twitter, it's a lot of entertainment as well. So rather than posting on Twitter, I highly encourage people to like post their research or post their point of view on an economic issue on LinkedIn. Like I'm a big believer in that. Yeah.
I think it makes a lot of sense, as you mentioned, that while people are striving to get into these institutions, they reach out to people who are already working here. I think the same thing, it goes the other way as well. If you are creating a thought leadership in this field around this topic, it makes it very easy for the other person to relate with you as well. And I think it can really go a long way when trying to enter a career, trying to create a career in this field. So, it makes a lot of sense that way. Thank you
Oh,
so much.
absolutely. Like, Anushka, I'll just pitch in one area where I've actually seen like very tangible results, right? So, um, when I post on LinkedIn, right, about various topics, I've had recruiters reach out to me on LinkedIn saying that, there is this position in our company. There was this hedge fund in London that, like, their HR reached out to me and actually told me, that, we really like what you post on LinkedIn. We like, your profile seems good. Like, this is a job opening of an investment associate, please go ahead and apply. And I applied and I sat for the interview, and it's a different thing, I didn't get in. But the idea is that, I could only do that because LinkedIn gave me that visibility. So when you
Hmm.
post about things, the LinkedIn algorithm will push your posts to recruiters and relevant people in organizations who have the power to hire you. That's the first thing. The second thing is, now I've also like I've started writing for a newspaper back in India, and that could only happen because they liked my writing on LinkedIn, and they were like, can you also write like a monthly column for us? So I write for the Free Press Journal like once a month, and um, I would love to write for even more media organizations. Why not? Why not?
I think this is a recurring theme because when we did an episode with Matt, we talked about starting a career in data when you come from a non-tech background. And this was the exact same thing he also mentioned, that when he started posting on LinkedIn, he also somebody, reached out to him as well, offering a job. So I think this is a very recurring theme when it comes to cracking, a career in any field. Creating a presence on LinkedIn, especially on LinkedIn, is very important. So I have a personal experience with the same thing. So I think it makes a lot of sense that way. And thank you so much for doing this episode with us, Vatsal. I hope the listeners really like it and get some really actionable insights from this. And thanks again for coming on the show.
No, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Anushka. Thank you to Team Topmate and Amisha and Zephy. It was great chatting with you guys. And yeah, like my LinkedIn's always open, so any of your viewers or listeners, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, or yeah, reach out to me on Topmate, like book my time. And super glad, guys. I had a good time. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Top Connect. If you have any questions related to the topic, do check out the links in the description below. As promised, here's your chance to win a one-on-one call with Vatsal. All you need to do is talk about the top 3 insights that you've learned from this episode and post it on your social media. Don't forget to tag Topmate and Vatsal. Also, if you're listening to this on Spotify, do check out the Q&A section below. I'm your host Anushka, and you're listening to Top Connect, an education podcast by Topmate, hosted and produced by me.